let me explore with you what you see on this chart, what you're actually seeing on this chart. You're seeing a lot of information, right? What it is. Let me just point some indicators for you, because I'm gonna say, yeah, you probably overwhelmed, many of you probably overwhelmed to use a bunch of these indicators. I mean, look at this. Look at this indicator, for example. This indicator is, this is a footprint. What do you see? Like, what is this? This is a footprint. There is a candles, that is the candles, okay? Like regular candles. And on each candle, you can see information on the left and the right. Do you guys see this candle, and that there is numbers? And I'm gonna decode it to you. Basically, this is the candle, but what this chart makes is capable to produce bunch of information that otherwise, if we're just looking by the price action, we are not capable to see and determine if and when the price pattern will actually works the way we think. But this is the X-ray inside of the candle. Okay, now let me draw on this picture. Boom. Okay, so what you see on the left side of this candle, this is the left side of the candle, right? This is simply this one, this one, this. It is the volume. It is the volume, okay? I'm gonna clear it so you can see it. It is the volume, okay? So this is the, actually you see, this is a spike in volume, boom, there is a volume, and less and less. Okay, I should draw it like like this. Okay, that's a volume inside of the each candle. Just a volume. It doesn't matter buyers or sellers, but the volume profile speaks a lot. Most of the people, it was a revelation for them on a team view, on what team view? I mean the trading view, to discover the horizontal volume profile. Now you can see on each candle. This is, by the way, 30 seconds candle. And that volume, horizontal volume, tells a lot of information. That's a lot. You can just trade only based on that volume. When you see a spike in the volume, now you can actually put it on the left or right, but in my situation, I put the volume on the left, okay? You can trade basically just by looking at the left side of the candle, and you'll already get like plenty of information. What this information on this very candle. Now, what do I see? That the most of the volume trading between bid and ask, I mean buyers and sellers by market, this is, you see, that is in a block, kind of like an outline, and then most of the volume happens right here. On a jargon for the people who love to use volume indicators, it's called point of control. Ooh, point of control. What is the point of control? It is the maximum value traded inside of the one candle. And by the way, you actually see this on there's another kind of indicator sitting on the left, and there's like you see this spike on a horizontal volume indicator on the left, on an NinjaTrader. And there is like a black line is just going through this. So it's actually made quite a impact on every candle or a situation on this chart. That the most fight between the buyers and sellers happened right here. Happened right here. Between all of these candles and all of these trades. So what does it mean? That means there's so much effort somebody put in to fight one way or another, that looks like most often that this very spike in horizontal volume will be quite often tested or retested, or that become a resistance or support zone. This is all I can tell just by looking at the left side of the candle on the volume profile. Now, we combine it like a 3 footprints chart, 3 footprints indicators into the one. Because most of the other footprints or order flow software, and some of you bought actually software from a person whose name starts with or Mike. He's the most known, but I tell you, he is no longer support his software, and his software is so antique. It's just like you need to be insane, because all you see is just numbers. Now over here, it's much easier. It's more visual. He sold his software most likely because he no longer provides any support. The point is, there is a new school and there's an old school for building footprint. Footprint, it's a kind of the print, like foods of buyers and sellers inside of the one candle. It's basically like footprint. Because now on the right side of the candle, what we're seeing there, like for example, right here on this very POC, 22 sellers. This is the first column on the right of the candle. Oops, excuse me. And there's the numbers right over here, right? Those numbers are seller numbers. And the second column, this one, it is the buyers by market. It is the market participants. Now, we're seeing right over here, the fight happens between 24 sellers over here and what? 12 buyers, right? 12 buyers. 24 sellers and 12 buyers. So I color coded, because you can choose your own colors, that sellers on the left side, because there's like, okay, right of the candle, there's the 2 columns going on, right? And the first one is a seller, and right on the POC point of the control, it's actually highlighted in yellow, this number, and this one is in blue. And just by colors, I know who it is, sellers or buyers, but I also know by a position. This are sellers and this are buyers. Now, you can ask me, hey, like, does it make sense? There were 24 sellers and 12 buyers. It actually makes sense when you start reading the charts and you know how to read the charts. Okay, now, what do you see below? Below, like the horizontal brick, it is the delta difference between buyers and sellers. And that delta in the whole candle become blue. So there's more buyers in the whole candle than at the very top. At the very top, there were like people who were desperate to sell, and they not succeeded. So the price went even higher. And this is a really good sign. This horizontal brick is a delta, what we usually say delta 1, level 1, by buyers and sellers, bid and ask. I just overlap, like, I put many indicators, like 2 indicators or 3 indicators on top of each other, okay? Don't be confused, because this square, it's another indicator, market speed, for sellers, and this is a market speed for buyers. No, actually, it's pretty cool, because most people don't have this indicator in their possession at all. And what this indicator is telling to us, who were the last in this very candle? Sellers. But the speed of tape, because many people like, oh, if you are scalping, you need to put the tape, and they're just like looking, and they're just like, I'm getting crazy, because this is the modern way to read the tape. And speed of tape, visual way, then those scalpers who just like have the dome and tape, and I'm like, it turns me crazy. It's like outdated. It's like a last century way to scalp. This is a 30 seconds on NQ, by the way. You can do S&P if you wanted to. Now, but over here, I can see that the buyers actually, their speed in the tape was bigger, larger than the sellers in that very candle. At the very end of that candle, let's say. So those guys who were selling over here, they were selling it slowly, but those 12 guys here, they actually just like put the pedal to the metal. To the max. The speed, like a BMW, they put it to the max. That's what this indicator, speed of tape or market speed, speed by market, buying and selling, bid and ask, telling me. But for many of you, you just like, you never seen that. But when you scalping, especially if you on a 1 second time frame, which I combine 30 seconds and a 1 second time frame, oh, I love that. Because if all stars are aligned in my system, all requirements 1, 2, 3, 4 alignment in my system, then the last one I look at that very market speed. And if this one aligned, boom, I make an entrance. But I look at that indicator at the bottom, the last one. So there's an order the way I look at. Okay, let me not deviate from the beginning. What I'm trying to explain, that if you don't know what those numbers are telling you, then you're like, heck, it's so complicated. There's so much calculations do I need it to. But our indicator is like a fresh from the oven. We built it just recently and people love it. Why they love it? Because it's not just a numbers, but more it is visual presentation, because like you can see the 17 were added over here. And you see with a bright blue, right? You can see that those guys in this POC were most of them like fighting over here were red. And you see even the size of that POC, right? And it's actually red. But they not succeeded. Now, you see the sellers try to tap here at the very bottom, or here. It's a 12 of them sitting here. And there's only one buyer. And you're just like, what is the heck? How could I compute in my head that there were like a 12 of the sellers and this bar horizontal is red because there were like majority of them to compare with the buyers only one. But the price went up. This is the magic of the volume indicators, because there's another part of the participation that if we just looking by the price action, we will never see it. By the way, I highly recommend for everyone to understand the price action. And it's a priority in my system. In any of my systems, the price action is a priority. But then when it comes to entering with a laser focus, you need to see the X-ray, and you need to know, and you need to make a logic out of what you're saying. Those red guys over here, you see they're at the very beginning of this candle, they were absorbed. Okay, they were trying to sell. But the second part that is invisible on the screen is a level 2 data. You're like, what the heck? Level 1, what it is? Level 1, it is market participation, participants by the market who urgently, like you and I, retail traders, want to participate and buy or sell. We are market participants. But the market participants never buy and never sell to each other. So I highly recommend you to switch from the Forex, where there is no contracts traded, to the same futures, same currency pairs, but on the futures. And then you will see the numbers, and they're like, oh, now it makes sense. Okay, now, but let me come back to it. There's a few things in this very particular candle that is fascinating story. Just by looking at that, it's supposed to make sense for you and me. The biggest participation in buyers happens right here, 10 of them, against what? 8 sellers. Okay, just a little bit more. 17 of them over here against 2 sellers, and 12 buyers over here, 17 okay? And there's some more like this one, this one, this one, and this one. And you see the consecutive buyers. Consecutive buyers. But you see the numbers on how many contracts were bought, okay? It's just like 7, 6, 4, 6. But sellers were, look, 3, 0, 0, 0, 1, 0. These guys, sellers over here. These guys, buyers over here. Sellers like contracts 0, 0, like 0, 1, 0. Buyers like 7, 6, 4, 4, 6, 4. Ooh, numbers are larger. What it makes ratio swinging to the buyer side. When that kind of like outweighed in one participants who like buyers in this case, to compare with the sellers, their numbers like low. Then it become, write it down, write it on your forehead, and this is something that nobody talks about in any tutorials. It's called a one-sided liquidity. But the most people know about one-sided liquidity as imbalance zone. This is calculated imbalance zone, okay? Some people call it FVG. No, dude. Take the idea of the ICT for a while and put it in your trash can. Because ICT don't have that. This is a calculated ratio that show you who are stronger. By numbers, by the contracts. And the strength of that now is highlighted by our indicator as the zone. It's called the imbalance zone, and it is turned into blue or green, whatever, and it is the buyer's imbalance zone. At the very last moment, you see that there is a raw red in the POC because those guys were like a desperate. That's their desperation. But this is like a psychology of this candle. That's a story behind this very long candle. The most important is for you and me, when we're working with the charts, to build a story, to build a narration, you need to have this story. And when you have this story about the one candle, then you're like, bingo, I understand what this candle means. Now, this candle means that these guys in red trying desperately add 22 contracts and they were not succeeded. What does that mean? That means the other side buyers, they don't care about their 27 contracts. That means the chart will go and spike significantly after this major fight in this very POC. This is the footprint inside of the one candle. This candle is actually going up, right? And the POC, point of control, or the fight is at the very top. Is that a good pattern? Yes, it is the pattern, but it's not one of the best. By the way, just by looking at this very fight inside of it, what place the price can return to? Price can return to this place for sure. If it's go lower, it's gonna return to what? This place will test this price position. And you see that there's like a zero fight over here, 0, 0, 0, 0. Guys, this is one of them. If you want to get a holy grail, it's right in front of you. There is a zero. Volume right here. 0. And where else? Oh, this is 2, 2. This is 0. This is the one of the most interesting place in the candle for me. I always keep my eye on that spot where the 0 volume. Guess what you need to understand? The price is moving. Here's the formula, guys. By the way, do you see that it's like almost 0 out there? I mean, like it's actually 0 out there here, by the way. It's 0. I mean, it's hard to see, but it's 0. And it's a 0 over here. The formula is, guys, look at me. The price always going between highest volumes. value, I'm stretching. You see, look, I'm stretching. There's a high or I should do it this way, okay? There's a low point, but high volume, some lower low, whatever. And there's a highest point with a high volume. And the price tend to bounce from the most dense or highly traded place on the chart, where the maximum value. So the price left to attract to the maximums and see if they can be support or resistance, or we can go through this. The price is always testing it. When you hear the word retest, that's what the price is doing. But at the same time, when you now looking at the minimum value, this minimum value is also, the price can go to the minimum value and bounce from zero volume. You're like, wow, that's blowing my mind. Absolutely. Why? Because zero volume means zero interest. Oh, you can turn on VWAP, you can turn all of these shenanigans, bunch of other indicators. Guys, if you understand this concept, you don't need bunch of indicators. You will like seeing it yourself. Okay, like zero volume. That's the point where the price, if the price will go in, like price is going now up, right? And then the price will go in kind of like bounce. Zero volume in this candle sometimes doesn't play a role, but a lot of time you will find it. Like exactly, like guys, I'm telling you, this spot is also the minimum value, 2 and 2, okay? It's a minimum value. These two spots I always be careful about, because price can get reaction and get reaction over here. And when you see that 2 or 3 co-influence factors, you're like, uh-oh, this is one of them. The co-influence factor, the highest volume and the lowest volume, because price goes from highest to highest and from low to low. You're like, oh, like, are you a schizophrenic? No. I'm telling you, the price actually goes from high to high, or sometimes it's go to the high to low, and then found no interest, go even lower, because there's a zero interest to go lower. The price is exhausted on the way down or exhausted on the way up. So those points is a trigger for my eye. Now, just by looking at this footprint, you see how much information. What, I'm a genius or what? No. Because the simple reason that some people ask me for this webinar or whatever live stream, because they're saying the footprint is really, really hard to understand. And I'm telling you, the same way you guys looking, or I look at the price action, I see through the X-ray even more price action inside of the candle. It's like any doctor, when you're like, oh, what do you think? What happens with me? He's like, okay, let's make an X-ray. Let's like do some scan to see what's inside. And that's what those indicators provided for us. We don't trade indicators, by the way. We trade psychology behind what's going on. Because if you're going to rely purely on the indicators, what happens to you? I'm going to tell you. If you're going to rely on volume indicators and you just like, okay, this is red, this is blue, this is high, this is low, numbers, one day it's not going to make sense for you, because the same numbers, same colors, if you put in a context and with the other factors that co-influence, you will create a different story. And that story is more important because you will trade in the different directions, maybe with the same kind of looking candle, or numbers, or colors, or whatever the indicator show it to you, okay? So the context. Now, but the number one context, first, I just give you a few ideas that the footprint inside of the one candle, this is the footprint, right? Or people call it order flow, because it's a flow of the orders inside of the candle. But practically most of the people, just by looking at this, they're saying this is the footprint and this is the order flow. Okay, it's a flow of different orders between the candles. So it's making sense. In this candle, what do we? Should I shine at you a little bit about the best order flow indicators footprint right now? I should. Some of you, because some of you get bored, like, I know all of this. Yeah, fine. But most of the order flow, I mean, the footprints, like this indicator, they put delta. Oh, let me put it. They put delta like over here at the bottom of the candle or at the top of the candle, and they put the numbers, what the delta was just like, and they can put like 40 over here for buyers, and they can put like, I don't know, 30 for sellers over here. Okay, that was negative, that was a plus, just example. What we do, instead of giving you too many freaking numbers, we take that very candle and show you delta, not just this delta, like you see this. This is the delta between delta means difference. It's all it means. When somebody saying delta in English, it simply means difference, one minus another, and seeing what the difference between larger and smaller. That's it. And where we put our delta is inside of the candle. Our software calculates, and just by looking how we calculate, you see this? Blue right near left of the candle. This bright, I'm like dark blue left of the candle, and it says 32. I hope you see it. This is positive delta inside of that candle. So even the POC were like a negative 24, but the total last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 price levels, one after another, build positive 32. That's why the price went up. Now you see this red left of and minus 11 left of the candle. The candle is blue, right left, like a very minuscule. It's like here, you see this red? It is a delta block. This is a delta block. And this is a delta block. This is sellers, this is buyers, okay? This is sellers. And where you do see there is a 7 over here with small kind of like a buyers again. So there's a block of buyers here, small but larger than previous. The block of sellers, delta is minus 11, but then the large buyers block. So just by looking at the candle, instead of like giving you a totals at the top and the bottom, which most order flow or footprints give it to you, which doesn't make freaking sense. We look over all of that nonsense, what they show, and decide, hey, we are traders, we want to make sense for us. So I just shine it to you, one of the beauty of our footprint. And the bottom line, if you don't have it in your possession, why don't you speed up your trading? Because that's a visual and it's more compact and it tells you more than other footprints with just like a numbers where you feel you need to be a mathematician.